Hello again, everybody. My name is John D. Healy. I do a podcast. It's called It's Good to Talk. I always have guests on. Today I will have a special guest on. I'll talk to that man in a moment. Give a shout out to sponsors. I got into podcasting because I produced this book for my good friend Stoney McGurn, his life stories from 1941 up to recently. And it's on Amazon. It's also on audio. Very worthwhile reading, all the way interesting stories down south when he was a young man driving trucks, and of course recently up to a couple of years ago. Now, my main sponsor is Liffey Van Lines, a moving company here in New York City, and they've been around longer than Jeopardy, longer than New York City Marathon. They're running very, very smooth, and as we come into summertime, moving companies get very, very busy. Liffey is always busy. When it comes to moving, let Liffey do the lifting if you need professional movers, and we also move pianos. Now, I always give a shout out to Paddy McCarthy, my good friend. He's the editor-owner of the IrishExaminerUSA.com, and that's the newspaper that you need to get every week online, keep you in touch with all the events that's coming up and functions and everything in terms of music and sports. And sports, boxing, hurling, football, that's all happening, but you'll all get it in the IrishExaminerUSA.com. Now, my guest today is Martin Moore. He's from Ballymacarbery, all the way over in Ireland. He'll give us a chat in a moment. I met Martin in 1992 when we were both volunteers in the Irish Wheelchair Association. Our first trip was to Russia in 92, and that was dealing with people in wheelchairs and dealing with people. Martin has moved on to we were volunteers there, and Martin has moved on to still being a volunteer with a different organisation. Martin, hello, and how are you doing today?
Hi, John. Thank you for having me. Everything good?
Everything is good, Martin. Tell us, my listeners, where are you from and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I'm Martin Moore from Ballymacarbery. I'm actually speaking to you now, John, from my schoolhouse, the schoolhouse where you have been several times in the beautiful Nile Valley, County Waterford, Ireland. And I'm involved with Special Olympics now since 2003. When Special Olympics World Games came to Dublin.
Okay.
And I just noticed on the national newspaper that, like as you said there, John, we were volunteers with the Irish Wheelchair Association, and then I kind of slipped through the crevices for a while. So this thing attracted me, and I contacted him, and then I was recruited as a volunteer, and I volunteered in Dublin. Then we had massive training. Like it's very, like all organisations, very well controlled, well run, and special people. Now, going back to the founder of Special Olympics, Eunice Kennedy, I think it's Snyder, I'm not sure now. She'd be a sister of President Kennedy, and she started the foundation long before 2003, and the reason she started it was she had a special needs son herself, and she felt that there was a need there for some kind of services for the special needs children, who I suppose I put the emphasis on special because they are special people. And she started this organisation, very small, in America. Probably John F. Kennedy was from where, John?
You've heard? Well, there is the Special Olympics have a headquarters here in New York, by the way, as well. I should mention that.
In New York.
What motivated you, Martin, to become a volunteer in the first place?
Well, I suppose, John, a bit like yourself, helping people, to help people, and, you know, help people who maybe couldn't help themselves at times. And as well as that, like, I felt that I had something to offer, because in Ballymacarbery, I actually started the Boy Scouts in Ballymacarbery way back. I was also involved with the ladies' football, community games. We went to Mosney with the little girls from the local school here, and we won the All-Ireland. And as a result, Ballymacarbery ladies' football, they've won 42 consecutive county finals.
Oh, very good, okay.
42. They were beaten this year. And
that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
A pill to swallow.
Yeah, but let's get back to Special Olympics. Let's get back to the Special Olympics. That's what I want to talk about today. My listeners want to know more. You mentioned there about a lot of training. So as a volunteer, had you to do training?
I had to do with, we had to go in and learn about the code of ethics, and we had to go to Dublin on a regular basis. We were in a room for maybe 4 or 5 hours and told by the leaders what we should do, could do, and can't do. And all that is about, and there was guard vetting and everything else, like naturally to protect the children and protect the adults, because you can have bullying at any level, you know. And that was my first trip. And then in Dublin, I met Mary Davis from Dublin, and now she's actually, I'm not quite sure what her role is now, but she was head of Europe and Asia Special Olympics when she went to America. Now, at that particular time, she also ran for the presidency here when Michael D got the office.
Okay, very good.
And I suppose it was, it's a bad wind wouldn't blow good for somebody, because if Mary won that presidency here, it would be a big loss to Special Olympics. And I've met Mary.
Well, I mean,
Mary Davis.
You could say, retrospect too, that if Mary had won that, Ireland would have lost Michael D. Higgins as, without a doubt, I would say, one of the best presidents of Ireland we've had, probably since Mary Robinson, who was excellent from Ballina and County Mayo. But let's get back to Special Olympics.
I would say the best, John, not one of the best. I say the best president.
Okay, well, thank you very much. As a Mayo person and to a Mayo woman. The training, you covered the training somewhat there. So there's training for the volunteers. So the sports that are involved for the participants, like is it swimming, is it walking, is it running, is it golf? Like what category do you fall into?
When I was in Dublin, I was a volunteer with the soccer, and I was attached to the Chinese team. But my niece now, she's involved here in Waterford with the swimming, and we have swimming. I'll go through a few of them. We have swimming, basketball, soccer, athletics, basketball, and the other ball as well, volleyball,
golf,
ice skating, badminton. I was involved with the badminton team then as well in Germany there a few years ago. But I mean, there's a variety of sports, and I mean the athletes are just
there's a variety of sports. Amazing. So the parents, is it up to the parents of the children who have special needs, whether it's Down syndrome or accident from a car accident, a motorbike accident? When we were in wheelchair, I think I only met one person ever who had come from polio, and polio goes way back, because now there's a vaccination for that long time ago. I like to say measles is coming back. So is it the parents that decide? Do they choose the sport that they want their child or teenager to be involved in?
Not really, John. Like at local level here now in Waterford, they just go to the loop. We'll say through the primary school, they're made aware of what's there. They say, look, come down and take a look. And then they can go through all the different sports and maybe choose then what they're best at. The parents would have a big say into it, but naturally the coaches would be the people who would decide that John Healy is good at basketball because he's over 6 foot tall.
Okay, well, you got half of it right, to say the least. But I'm not good at basketball, but that's my point. I said
you would be good at basketball.
I could be anything, Martin. So basically, the parents have to make a decision. Now, in that terms, I have to go on to the costs. Like, I'll get to the cost for a volunteer, but the cost for a parent that has a child, say, with Down syndrome or who's autistic, and I'm not talking about, say, the cost maybe of a special school or special teaching or that. But when it comes, say, let's say I'm sending my child to the Olympics to play basketball, as you said. Okay. And let's say the young man is 6'8", like Barron Trump, but Barron Trump has more money than God. So, like, the funding in there has that family to do the fundraising to bring their kid to, I know next 2026 you're going to Chile, so that's going to cost at least 5,000-6,000 euro. And not every family can put their hand in their pocket and say, okay, young John wants to go and play basketball, but here we don't have 6,000 euro. What happens then?
What happens then, John? The athletes don't have to spend any money.
Okay.
Their uniform is provided. Special Olympics provide all that. Now I'm not quite sure about the shoes.
Okay.
But we have the uniform. You can see I'm wearing the Special Olympics t-shirt, right? But there is no expense. But a lot of the expenses, say, a very good friend of mine now here in Ireland, Mary Shields, she is an amazing volunteer. She's just come back from Germany, and she's doing a promotion up in Nina and Tipperary today, raising funds again. It's ongoing, but the volunteers, say, you mentioned the figure there. I don't know what the figure would be for.
No, I'm just a random figure. Yeah.
A big percentage of that would go towards the cost of the athletes and Team Ireland.
Okay, so Special Olympics, when they have you volunteers, you volunteers, so you fundraise first to pay for the trip, the airfare, accommodation. Then the surplus of that goes to Special Olympics for administration and perhaps things like the uniforms and other basic costs. Okay, am I right in saying that?
You're right in saying that, John. But again, some big companies would sponsor. They might sponsor, say, the T-shirts. You have the Air sponsor the T-shirts.
Okay.
But now we'll just mention a figure. We'll say 5,000.
Okay.
For a figure to go for maybe Berlin or wherever. It would cover. There's a minimum figure that we have to raise of X amount, and any surplus then that goes maybe to help other people who couldn't reach the target. And say that you have the flight, the accommodation, and meals, and then Special Olympics would get another percentage of that to cover the athletes and all the professional people in Special Olympics, whether it be in Ireland or any country in the world.
Number one, it's a big organisation. Number two, it's a big undertaking. I'm sure there's insurance costs, without a doubt, to be involved, whether it's travel insurance. I remember one time we went on a trip from London to Malaysia and the plane had to do an emergency landing.
I remember as well.
Exactly, I'm sure everyone remembers that flight. And Malaysian Airlines didn't have a good record at the time. But then it's only then you think of something like insurance.
That's right.
Like people on their dying bed, they think of they all of a sudden they know how to say the Hail Mary or the Our Father. Well, I'll keep away from the religion. But getting back to Special Olympics, like you yourself now have been involved with a number of years. You've been to Germany, you've helped in Dublin. Like, when is your next trip coming up and where to?
Well, John, hopefully I'd be looking at South America in 2 years' time. Now, it may not happen, I don't know. I got a new knee replacement there 4 months ago, and I'm back on the bike again. So I'm like yourself, just why stop? You start and don't stop.
Well, of course, yeah. But I mean, you're one volunteer and there are other volunteers, and it's like a teamwork, so you all help each other. And as you and I know well from working with the wheelchair people, you make great friends. Some people have disabilities and they become friends, and they're professionals. They're not all people have a perception of people that are with disabilities that they're not too bright, and some of them own their own companies. They're highly qualified, trained, athletic people. They work in various fields. So, and I'm sure you've made friends along the way. Otherwise, I would not be talking to you today.
John, I've made lots of friends. It's amazing. I'm self-employed since 1987. Like my sister used to say to me, Alice, I met a friend of yours the other day. Actually, she'd say, he wouldn't be a friend or he'd be an acquaintance. But you make friends through Special Olympics. Yeah. And again, I would consider you one of my best friends. And we met by accident, I suppose, John, if you like, through the wheelchair. It's so rewarding. I mean, for your head, to get your head in place, and the benefits you see when you see those athletes. The lady there from Mid-Tipperary, and she was partially disabled, but she got a gold medal in the track race that she was running that day. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I was in the business of giving out the medals, but I saw her coming back in after coming in first place, and I said, Martin, forget about everything. Go out and hold her hand high. And I held her hand. And the other lady, who I think is from Killarney, said she decided then she'd come and hold the lady's other hand. And you had all the world media.
Well, in fairness, all three of you were winners, So give me a break. I'm going to call on young Jimmy Grady to sing a song for you, Martin. For the listeners, of course, they're always listening. I have some very listeners that keep a close eye and they watch what I say and how I say it. But anyways, Jimmy Grady has been on here singing. So Jimmy, sing a song for Martin and sing a song for everybody involved and all the volunteers in the Special Olympics.
Thanks,
Jimmy's
John.
only 13 years old, so he's going to sing and then we come back.
Hi, Jimmy.
Oh, my granny had a talent for the genealogy. For before there were computers, she could trace your family tree. You'd call in for a visit, and before you drink your tea, to everyone you know you'd be related. We are all related through marriage or through birth. which either is a blessing or a God Almighty curse, and you can trace the lineage for what it might be worth, but in Ireland sure we are all related. My name it is O'Reilly, O'Reilly, I don't know. For my father he was Riley, but his father had a no. For one of them refused the soup, so they were forced to go. So to all the travelling Rileys I'm related. We are all related through marriage or through birth, which either is a blessing or a God Almighty curse, and you can trace the lineage for what it might be worth, but in Ireland sure we are all related. Hush your cousins on the radio, my granddad he would say, for we hope that you'll become a singing star like her someday. Now second, third, or twice removed doesn't matter anyway. To the famous Eleanor Shanley I'm related. We are all related through marriage or through birth, which either is a blessing or a God Almighty curse, and you can trace the lineage for what it might be worth, but in Ireland sure we are all related. Now my husband's second cousin is my second cousin too, but before ancestral thoughts arise, 'tis legal through and through. Now my brother's married to his sister's husband's sister, who, Asher, like I'm trying to say, we're all related. We are all related through marriage or through birth, which either is a blessing or a God Almighty curse, and you can trace the lineage for what it might be worth, but in Ireland sure we are all related. And if you don't believe me, then try it out someday. Just pick a random stranger, a local or a stray. You'll find that you're related in some peculiar way. And don't forget me in your will, 'cause we're related. We are all related through marriage or through birth, which either is a blessing or a God Almighty curse, and you can trace the lineage for what it might be worth, but in Ireland sure we are all related.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin, let's see what we have to talk about.
It was Mary Davis again, John, as a volunteer. She would be very helpful to me, and even one year I was caught fundraising, and she topped me up with some of her surplus money, and then 2 years later I said, Mary, how's the fundraising going? Oh, Martin, she said, very difficult. And I had surplus money because being self-employed and dealing with companies, I get maybe products instead of money, and I turned that into money, and I said, Mary, I can help you out. So I gave her a bit of money, and that's the way it goes, John. Everybody helps everybody. That's called
teamwork, and that's important. Everybody helps everybody else. So we named all the different sports that are involved, from basketball, swimming, even including golf is very important.
Golf is in it as well, yeah.
Yeah, golf is in it as well. And it's there's such a wide variety of choice.
Too many to mention.
Well, it's good to have too many to mention. And for my New York listeners, you can look up Special Olympics New York. They're here down in the Times Square area, and they have the exact same system of, if you want to become a volunteer, you select what you want to be, what is your strong strength in being a volunteer, the hours are available, whether you want to do a half a day, a full day, or 8 hours, whatever. And in terms of fundraising, they'll give you ideas how to do the fundraising and where the Olympics is on. There are various Olympics on right throughout the year. I think Minnesota is coming up here in New York. So, Martin,
well, the Winter Games just finished in Italy last week. Now, I would like to make an appeal, John. You mentioned New York. I'd say to anybody, young people in particular, go down to the meeting and just sit in and see, and more than likely you'll end up like John Healy or Martin Moore and all the rest of them. You say, I can help a hand, I can give a helping hand here, whether it be keeping the door open or collecting tickets or checking people or doing the big stuff, and eventually flying around to the different venues around the world.
Well, there's all of that too, Martin, and it's the people you meet, and I've learned more probably from people with special needs and people in wheelchairs than I have through the corridors of universities. But then again, maybe I spent a lot of time walking through corridors of universities. Is there anything else we should add? Anything else we should add to the discussion? I mean, there's so much to cover in this. It would be impossible. I did want to give a shout out to Adam Cardona. He's my resident advisor, medical advisor, sports advisor when it comes to special fitness and medical massage and sports massage. I assume a lot of the people participating in certain sports would have the care of like medical massage or sports massage.
There's a full team of medical doctors, sports massage. They have a complete section of the arena that we work in, or
Okay.
arenas. And now I remember 5 years ago, I went to Abu Dhabi,
Okay.
and I was only after being knocked off my bicycle 4 months before that.
Okay.
Car hit me, and I remember I actually had to avail of the medical services there nearly every day, and
Okay.
they were absolutely amazing.
Okay.
And the way they can treat you. And then when athletes come in, I mean, and you would have maybe, it's open to the public, the general public as well, they would have casualties, and everything is looked after for free, no charge.
That's excellent. So really and truly, I should reach out to my good friend Adam Cardona, and he might be interested in becoming a volunteer as a sports massage therapist and give a few hours of his week. And
Very good,
I'll advise him how to get involved, and he'll find it rewarding, no doubt. He does give a lot of free advice online, by the way, through LinkedIn and other. He has his own website. That's Adam Elite Healers is the name of his company. Finding one with simple solutions to things like neck massage, like that.
Yeah.
Various
Yeah.
things to help you walk better, and posture, of course. There's too many for me to mention because sports massage.
And
is a whole
interrupting you
different-
there, John, like I'm a wellness coach myself,
Okay.
and I help a lot of people with in different areas. I do a lot of sports. I cycle 4 days a week during the summer. I know what it is to be injured. I know what it is to be fit. But I mean,
Okay.
after my knee operation, I bounced back after 3 months. I was back
Okay.
on the bike again. And it's all good to do. It's all down to proper nutrition and knowledge.
Well, both things are good there. And
Exactly.
That's important. And I must get Adam Cardona back on to talk about both of those things, about the fitness and the nutrition. Well, Martin, anything else we need to add? How people can contact you? And I have a lot of listeners in Ireland, and if they want to contact you to get involved with Special Olympics, and you'd be good contact.
I'd love that, John. I'd love that. I'm more than willing to help any of them. And
Yes.
as I said earlier on, my niece is coaching the swimming people down in Dungarvan, and they've won 7 gold medals now, and she's hoping that, I mean, the lottery, the athletes going to World Games, it's a lottery. They'll just be drawn out of the hat. It mightn't be the best athlete, but I mean, I'm more than willing to help, and you can feel free to give out my phone number.
I will. And people can contact me at my email, jhfornews@yahoo.com. And if you're listening to this podcast, it's good to talk. Sure, it's good to talk. Hit the subscribe button, and you can always replay back Martin Moore and myself talking about the Special Olympics. Now, Martin, there are a lot of people here in New York that know you for many, many years back. And I told them you were going to be on, and they wanted to shout out to you. I spoke with Pat Burke. His wife is Philomena. I'm not sure they're from Ballymacabry or wherever they're from, but they're from
Very
down
good,
that
yeah.
part of the world. So you know people here in New York, but they are shouting out, and they're always willing, and they always talk about the good work you do and the volunteer work you do. So from...
And again, John, if any of them have a few extra dollars to donate, they can donate. But I would like to say a special hello to my friend Rose from Liffey.
Rose Maloney, yes, okay.
Rose Maloney, a very good friend of mine for, I'd say, at least 25 years.
Okay, very good.
And again, whenever the next time I get over, I would like to meet Rose. And
You will.
maybe we can go out and have a meal together.
Well, that's it. But there's more people than Rose. Rose runs Liffey Van Lines. She is the chief executive of Liffey Moving Company, and that's why it runs very smoothly. And sometimes you need a good woman at the top of any company. And by the way, a new woman has taken over the head woman of, I think, Special Olympics. So that's news for you today, I guess. It's old news now because this podcast goes out a week later usually. So a woman is in charge of the Olympics, or the overall Olympics actually. And that's a big step for sports in general and all types of sports. So Martin, if there's nothing else, I usually sign out in my native language, which is Slán go fóil agus sin scéal agus bé scéal eile. And Martin, I'm going to say goodbye to you now, and you can say goodbye.
Sean.
Okay, I think we covered a lot of ground there. And if any of the listeners have questions, you can email me or put them in the comment box below. And if you have questions for Martin, I will forward to him. But put them into the comment box under this podcast. So, son agus son a wall sin scéal agus spéis scéile.
God bless you, John. Thanks very much.